might be thinking, even if the deaths on the flu are actually pretty low as it is, it can't really hurt to get the flu shot, right? Well, what if it can? Because there appears to be some evidence that getting the flu shot could actually increase your likelihood of catching coronavirus or having a more severe illness as a result of catching coronavirus, okay? So I know the fact checkers are going to lose their minds when they hear this, okay? They're out there, anybody who's posting this, they're getting fact checked and false information flagged. So I just want to be absolutely clear when I say this, okay? Getting a flu shot, I'm not saying that it's 100%, that there's absolute proof that getting the flu shot does this, okay? I'm not saying that, so don't fact check me. Don't give me the false information. They're probably going to do it anyways. I'm not saying that that's 100%, okay? But they're going to fact check me. I don't care. There are studies, I'm going to show them to you. There are studies that show a correlation that suggests that there's a possibility, okay? We have to do this. We have to talk about this stuff, okay? I'm not saying it's 100%, but I'm saying there's some evidence that it could be, okay? You deserve to know that, and you deserve to have that information to weigh in on whether or not you're going to get a flu shot. If you are one of these people who's worried about getting coronavirus, worried about how it can potentially really hurt you or kill you, don't you deserve to know if the flu shot does have a track record of maybe making that worse for you? You deserve to know that. And there are studies, so I'm just going to cite the studies. So if you've ever seen this logo on a video, it's because Facebook has fact-checked it and is claiming that it is false information, okay? They are so determined to label things false that even if I were to draw a video from Facebook, I can't draw it without taking this logo off. So you may see this on a video that I'm going to cite, which will probably get me flagged, okay? But it's a good indication to you, based on how crappy fact checkers are nowadays, that if you see this logo on something, there's a good chance that it's actually true. So you may not know this about me, okay? I do call myself the Punisher of Truth. But there's something else that I call myself, and I call myself the FactCheck Slayer, okay? And I love embarrassing the fact checkers because I hate that they call themselves fact checkers because they're wrong a lot. So let's get it. So recently here, as you can see, on October 16th, the High Wire with Del Bigtree, they posted a clip talking about flu shots and its relation to coronavirus, okay? And you can see there's a false information flag, okay? And I'm going to show you some of that in a second, okay? But when you click on it, this is what pops up, okay? So it asks you if you want to see the video or if you want to see why this is false information. So, Facebook really tries to redirect you away from this video. So if you click on see why, okay, then this directs you to this article by Health Feedback that is supposedly fact-checking the claim that flu vaccine increases coronavirus infection, okay? But this fact-check article doesn't even address the articles or the content of the High Wire's video whatsoever. Okay, and the reason you know that is because you look at the date that this article was published. It was published on March 30th, 2020, updated on May 28th, 2020. Okay, so they're not even addressing what the High Wire is addressing, because fact checkers are lazy bums and they just recycle old, regurgitated garbage, and that's all that they do. Okay, so they're not even going to try to put in the work to actually fact check what Del's talking about here. They're just going to use an old article about an old, crappy debunking attempt that they tried to do earlier on this year. And they're going to leave it at that because they know that most people are not going to read all the way to the bottom, which is where you get these dates, not at the top like most normal articles. So they're going to make it so that you don't you're not even going to know that they're fact checking something completely different.
Flu vaccines and COVID-19 mortality. So a new study just came out. It was published in a journal called PeerJ. This is kind of like a mega peer reviewed associated journal. This covers biology, medicine, a bunch of other topics as well. And it says it basically positive association between COVID-19 deaths and influenza vaccination rates in elderly people. And the results came, and it showed a positive association between the deaths and the influenza rates in people 65 and older. There was a significant increase in COVID-19 deaths from eastern and western regions in the world. And of course, further explanation is needed to explain these findings, additional work, yada, yada, yada. Keep going, basically. Don't censor this. Keep going along this topic.
So you'll notice that in the article they're citing there, that it says that further exploration is needed. Okay, so this study is not saying that this is 100% guaranteed. This is, but they're showing you that they have picked up a strong signal. There is an association that they're seeing there. Okay, and they're saying that we should explore this further. Doesn't that make sense? Like, doesn't it make sense that if we see something that could potentially be showing a signal that there's a risk here, that we do more exploration, that we do more studies to either affirm that or to deny that, to find out whether that's true or not. That's what science is, man. So this is actually a pretty strong study. You'll see it's very big. Okay, and even then, these scientists are being cautious. They're saying, look, we need to explore this further. And this is what drives me nuts about fact checkers, okay? Because you see that. I showed it to you. They're right on there. They flag Del Bigtree, false information. This is a study. And they're being fair. They're saying we need to further study this to know for sure what this is.
This study was so big that Christina Stabile-Bend, who's one of those people that's been out there really doing TED Talks on how we need to improve our vaccine program, that there are real dangers that they're seeing. We've talked about the DTP issue that Peter Abe and she have pointed out, but she tweeted out this study, which is really quite alarming. There's her tweet. There's her retweet. Positive association between COVID-19 deaths and influenza vaccination rates in elderly people worldwide.
So again, you see in this retweet by this scientist, the very end of the tweet says correlation is not causation. There are many other variables that could be coming into play. More research is required. I see nothing about this that is unfair, that is controversial. There's a study. It is showing a signal. It is showing an association. It's one study. It's a big study. It's a good study. But it's one study, okay? So these people are saying we need to study this some more. We need to get a pile of studies, and then we'll be able to better answer whether this is a problem or not. If this is a problem, you want to know about it, okay? So pretending that it's not a problem, having fact checkers come in and tell you this is not real, this is not happening, forget about it, move on to the next video. It's irresponsible. You deserve to know if there's something, and that's what these guys are trying to find out. Okay, and they're being very reasonable. They're saying we need to study this more. We haven't got a definitive answer right now.
The question is, what if the flu shot is what is getting people killed? This study, I don't know that this study is going to answer that question, but it certainly does open this door up even wider, does it not?
Okay, so you heard Del say it again. He says, I don't know if the study is going to answer that question, but it certainly opens the door, doesn't it? I mean, there's nothing unfair about this. It is absolutely ridiculous. The way he's being targeted, the way this message is being targeted by fact checkers and social media platforms. They have an agenda. They want you to vaccinate, okay? It's fine if you want to vaccinate. I don't care. Do it if you want to, okay? My problem is the way the control of information works, okay? My problem is the suppression of information. You're not being allowed to hear this, okay? These guys are going out of their way to make sure that you don't know this, that you feel guilty or stupid for even considering this, because it's got a logo on it that says false information, okay? This is all mental manipulation, okay? When you see something, when you're scrolling through your social media, you see something that has false information on it, it mentally, it tells you to not even bother, to not even look at it. Okay, it's false. I'd be a fool. I'd be an idiot to read this and waste my time on it. That's the whole goal. And you know this, okay? You catch yourself, okay? I know you do this. When you're scrolling, if depending on who you are, maybe a lot of the people watch my videos or not, okay? But the majority of people, if you're scrolling through and you see something that says false information, you're already decided this thing is false. You might even read it just to laugh at it. Okay, it's already been implanted in you that it's wrong. But this is what's wrong, is the fact that they're being completely unfair in the way that they're characterizing. This whole segment has been extremely fair, telling you that there's more that needs to be studied. This is not the be all end all.
Tell us about this study, but I just want to couch this. Folks, this is what we've been asking ourselves. Is the flu shot what's getting us killed with what is it cold for everybody else? Because remember, everybody else that's in the healthier position, they tend to be in the age groups that don't get flu shots. So we could just say, well, it's older with other comorbidities, but what if it's the flu shot that's getting people killed?
Yeah, as scientists, you got to get in there and look at this with that age group because, all right, we know that packing people in nursing homes probably not the best idea with COVID positive patients. But what else are elderly people stacking up? Well, flu shots each year. So this study looked at what's called the nonspecific effects of higher flu shot intake. So nonspecific effects, like you mentioned, Christine Stabile-Ben, she's the head of the Bantam Health Project. She's one of the world leaders in looking at nonspecific effects of vaccines in general. So basically they're looking at, does this help? Does this hurt? Is there a null effect? Nothing's happening.
And non-specific, they could actually say accidental effect, right? Accidental or unknown adverse effects. I mean, all these non-specific meaning things we never looked for in any of our safety trials, right? That's what it means.
Right.
Things we never looked at when we were doing our safety trials. Never asked ourselves in a flu shot trial, are people getting more coronaviruses now that they've had the flu shot? Question was never asked.
Yes, and now this study looked at 39 countries over 500,000 people. The U.S., the U.K. was included, so pretty big swath. And they were using data. Yeah, unlike the Surgisphere data, they're using a data sharing and exchange warehousing organization called the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. So this is a widely recognized organization with integrity, as opposed to just kind of some fly-by-night company that is supposedly aggregating data through algorithms like we saw with hydroxychloroquine's Lancet study. So what they did was they looked at, like it said, the flu shot rates, and then they compared that to the deaths per million of inhabitants and the COVID-19 case fatality rate. So there's a couple graphs here that really tell the story. And the first graph is from the European inhabitants, basically deaths per million of inhabitants in Europe. And you can see the line is increasing. It's simple. It's right there. The second graph, case fatality rate in Europe. This is, against the flu shot, again, increasing. And then the third graph, we have deaths per million of inhabitants worldwide. And again, we have it increasing. And this study made an effort to reduce the effects of confounding variables like geographical, socioeconomic issues.
Okay, so this recent study involved 39 countries and 500,000 participants. It's big. It is a huge study, okay? Way bigger than any of the studies that we're looking at for this COVID vaccine, right? The 30,000 that isn't even 30,000 that they weaned down to like 150 people. Those are the trials that are doing the COVID vaccine that the whole world's going to get. So, no, this is a good study. 39 countries, 500,000 participants. It's huge. And funny enough, if you go back to the FactChecker article by Health Feedback that I cited earlier, which is what you see when you go to this Del Bigtree, the Highwire video. Okay, one of the things that they do, first of all, they're attacking different studies, right? Because it's an outdated fact check article. So when you read through it, one of the things that they do when they're attacking this other study is this. It says, well, the studies by Wolff and Cowling, which is a different study that they were attacking, suggest a potential increase in the risk of viral respiratory infections after receipt of the flu vaccine. Another much larger study found no significant difference in risk. Okay, so A much larger study? Well, how large was that study? Was it as large as this one that actually Dell was actually discussing on the Highwire of 39 countries and 500,000 participants? No, it wasn't. This is the study that they were talking about that's much larger. This is 2013 study. I'll provide a link for it so you can look at it yourself and verify. But it had about 3,000 participants. Okay, there was about 1,600 children and about 1,500 adults. So, a worthwhile study, I suppose. Okay, but certainly if you're going to be measuring, taking out your ruler and measuring the size of things, so no. The other study that Del Baketree is actually discussing in this video is got 500,000 participants in 39 countries. That's how large it is. This isn't fact-checking, guys. This is taking studies and being like, my study's better than your study, right? This is not science and this is not fact-checking. Okay, you have a right to know all of it, all of the studies, all of the information. And then you can decide what you think is fair, what you think is right. That's the way this should be done. Okay? They're basically telling you that science is no good. So you shouldn't even read it. You shouldn't even put any weight on it. Look, they can have that opinion. That's an opinion. They're opinion checkers. Okay? They're opinion influencers. That's what they are. They are not fact checkers. Okay? If they were fact checkers, they would tell you, look, these studies, we disagree with them, but they have information that's worth noting. That's what a fact checker would do. That's just telling you the facts. These are opinion influencers. They're taking the studies that they don't like and they're trashing on them, and they get an expert or a study that they like and say, see, this one says this, so this one's right. That's not fact checking. Okay? So we got to get off this fact checker garbage. This is why I do the FactCheck Slayer. Okay? Because that they are full of crap. They are not what they say they are, but they have found a way to manipulate people into believing that if the fact checker says it, then it's a fact. So this over here, this is the Wolff study. This is the study that the fact check article I cited earlier was disputing. Okay, and so this is the Department of Defense personnel study of 2017. 2018. Okay, and it was released earlier this year, so it was published on January 10th, 2020. So when this came out, there were reports that, oh, look at this, the flu vaccine might increase the risk of coronavirus. Okay, and so the fact checkers, of course, lost their minds on this and said, well, no, that's not true. So you have to look at this, okay, because this study was done in 2017, 2018. Okay, so COVID-19, as far as we know, did not exist back then yet. Okay, so obviously this is talking about different coronavirus. Okay, it's talking about the common cold, right? But it's still worthwhile studying, and it's a worthwhile, I shouldn't say assumption, but it's a worthwhile theory that perhaps if the flu vaccine could increase your ability to get a common cold coronavirus, that it's entirely possible, not proven, not 100% by any means, okay, but it's worthwhile considering and studying the fact that maybe a flu vaccine could increase your ability to get sicker or to be infected by other types of coronaviruses, including this SARS-CoV-2, okay? So that's fair. This study never says that it's going to for sure increase your illness of COVID-19, but it's a worthwhile discussion. This should not be censored, and it should not be ridiculed. And so flipping back to the fact checkers article, this is the best part, because if you read this when they're discussing the Wolff study, it says the study shows that flu vaccine increases coronavirus risk by 36%. That is the claim, okay? And it says that in the study. And then scientists who review the claim pointed out that although the study did report a higher probability of coronavirus infection in individuals that received the flu vaccine, it examined only seasonal coronavirus that caused the common cold, but not SARS-CoV-2. Okay, so when you put this all together, you have this study that suggests that 36%, so that's significant, okay, increased risk of getting ill with coronavirus if you get a flu vaccine. Okay, coronavirus, common cold coronavirus. Okay, a study was done in 2017, 2018. Then you've got this other large study that was just released here in October of this year. Okay, with 39 countries and 500,000 people. And so we're starting to mount some evidence that there might be an association with the flu vaccine and making you more vulnerable to coronavirus, even COVID-19. Okay, so it's worth discussing. It is not something that should be censored and pushed away. It is something that we need to have discussions. We do not get out of this by pretending that things aren't happening and not having these conversations. Okay, so here's another study that looks at the negatives of getting the flu vaccine. Okay, so this one, it says increased risk of non-influenza respiratory virus infections associated with receipt of inactivated influenza vaccine. Okay, so obviously this study was done in 2012. Okay, so this is not a study about SARS-CoV-2 virus. It didn't exist yet. Okay, but that's not the point. So we got to look at this. First of all, it says we randomized 115 children. So, okay, 115 children is not a big study, right? That's fair. You want to criticize that? I get it. It's not a big study, okay? But it is a study, and it was a study that was done against the placebo. Okay, so that's worth noting. That's something that a lot of studies don't do when it comes to vaccines. Over the following 9 months, those who got the vaccine had an increased risk of virologically confirmed non-influenza infections. Relative risk 4.40. Okay, so this means what they did is they tested these children, both the ones who got the vaccine and the ones who got the placebo. They tested them for other respiratory viruses, okay, not influenza, other things. And it turned out that there was a almost 4.5 times higher risk of getting a respiratory non-influenza virus in the group that got the vaccine for flu. Okay, so that's a big difference. That's significant. It's not like a little bit more. It's 4.5 times. Okay, and it is, although it's a small study, it should be expanded. There should be more studies, bigger studies that do the same thing to confirm or deny this, okay? But the point is, they did a study with children. It was done against a placebo, and they got a pretty significant result. Okay, now given everything we've talked about so far, I think it's worth looking at what's going on in South Korea right now. So if you haven't seen these stories yet, let's have a look at what's going on there. Okay, so here in Newsweek on October 26th, very recent, okay? South Korea resumes flu shots as deaths following vaccination rise to 59, okay? So that's a pretty serious story, guys. If you haven't heard of that, people have been dying right after the flu shot in South Korea, okay? And my favorite part about this article is that right below the headline, before you even get to the very first word of the actual article, is a video playing that's talking smack about the anti-vaccine movement and blaming them for the spread of infectious disease. Have a look at this. This video should be getting fact-checked, okay? This is the thing that should be getting a false information claim banner put over it, okay? Because what they're saying is completely not true. And I will spend as much time as it takes with what I'm doing and posting these videos and sharing this information to take that down a notch and show you the truth, okay? Because there's a lot of things to cover. Look, I don't consider myself anti-vaccine. Okay, I've said it before. People can label me whatever they want, okay? They can call me whatever you want. I don't care. I know who I am. I know what I believe. I've said it many times. I've been very consistent on this. If you want to get a vaccine, get it, okay? You should do what you think is right. You should have that conversation with your doctor, and you guys should make that decision together, okay? All I'm about, number one, is spreading awareness on the truth. There's a lot of things that most people don't know about this stuff, and that goes for doctors too. There's a lot of doctors who don't know everything that they should know when it comes to vaccines, okay? So number one, I just want to spread awareness. Number two, I'm not against the vaccines, but I am in favor of taking the safety and the efficacy of vaccines a little more seriously. Okay, I've showed you already a little bit about how poor the science actually is and the way that they do vaccine trials, and I'll continue to show you a lot more. We're just scratching the surface, okay? But I'm not going to apologize for having a position that I want vaccines that are being made and being injected into people and children and babies and pregnant women, that they could be done in a safer way. They could be tested and studied a little bit more seriously. Okay, I'm not going to apologize for that. I have no problem with my position on this, and I'll gladly fight anybody on this. Okay, so that's how I feel about that. Okay, but let's get back to the South Korea story. Okay, so let me read a few direct quotes from this article, okay? It says, of the 59 people who died after receiving the flu vaccine this year, up from 48 on Saturday, 46 of those deaths were believed to have no connection to the flu shot. An investigation into the 13 remaining fatalities has been launched, the Korea Disease Control and Prevention Agency revealed in a statement. Okay, so first, my first problem with this is, there are 13 deaths out of 59 that we don't know what the answer is, okay? They've apparently ruled out 46 out of 59, and I'm highly skeptical of this, okay? We have to look at this logically, okay? 46 deaths right after a flu shot that they're suggesting don't have any connection to the flu shot. Now, I would like some details on how they came to that. That's a very hard thing to prove, guys. It's a very, very hard thing to prove. You can have an opinion on that. And that's what it says. They're believed to have no connection. Okay? But that could be untrue. That could be false. Okay? But at the very least, there's 13 of these that they don't know what's killed us. They can't even say that they don't believe that the flu shot killed them. So understand that for a second, okay? 13 out of 59, they can't even come out and say that the flu shot didn't do this. So let's make a comparison, okay? Let's say in your country, 59 people die of the coronavirus, okay? And they determine that they believe that 46 of those didn't die from coronavirus, but 13 did. Or at least they don't know what the heck happened. They certainly can't rule it out, right? 13 out of 59. That's a pretty high percentage of people that they probably died from the coronavirus, right? Well, what do you think the reaction to that would be if that's what the numbers were? Okay, right now we have minuscule numbers, right? We see this every day. We see the cases. We don't really see the deaths. The deaths are almost non-existent, right? Here we have 59 people that have died. 13 that they can't even say that the flu shot didn't do this, okay? And if that's what they're reporting, there's a good chance that they're playing and shuffling the numbers, okay? There's probably more to it than this, okay? These people got the vaccine and then they died, okay? But whatever you believe, those numbers are pretty awful, okay? What do you think would happen if those were the coronavirus numbers where you live? I can tell you what would happen, because already as it is with the numbers being what they are, We have incredible panic and ridiculous restrictions, okay? If the numbers were like this, 13 out of 59 people who died with coronavirus died because of coronavirus, if that was the number, you'd be building a bomb shelter where you can live before this video's over. You'd be already building it. You'd be so panicked. Okay, let me put it this way. What if the vaccine numbers, let's say it's the vaccine, the flu shot, and you had where you live, 59 people died of the with the flu vaccine right after getting it, and at least 13 of them, they won't even rule out that the vaccine killed them. How fast would you go get that flu shot? How fast would you go and inject your child with that flu shot if that's what was happening, right? I think it would be fair for you to have some skepticism on that, right? And want to hold back. But this is the religion of vaccinations. Watch what's happening in South Korea. The KDCA noted there is no causal relationship between death and the vaccine, so we decided not to consider discontinuing use. Well, what do you mean there's no causal relationship? That's at best not determined yet. You guys just said that at least 13 of these 59 it's under investigation. So that's really a manipulation, okay? There is no causal relation because they haven't determined the cause yet. But it's under investigation. And if it's under investigation because they were not able to rule out at least 13 of these 59, then they should consider discontinuing use, at least until they get to the bottom of it. I mean, why couldn't they pause flu vaccines for a week or two so that they can investigate this? I mean, what are we doing, guys? The South Korean Prime Minister said we will respect the scientific judgment of experts and start vaccinations for seniors aged 62 to 69 as scheduled at a meeting held at South Korea's Central Disaster and Safety Countermeasures headquarters on Sunday. So now we're going to take a population of people who are more vulnerable to exposures of virus and certainly anything else that's toxic to their body. Okay, and we're going to just resume vaccinations. We're going to start vaccinations for them, even though we have people dying right after this vaccine. I mean, come on, guys. Even the most pro-vaccine person who opposes me and thinks that I'm overreacting, you cannot come to me and tell me that it is not worth taking a break for a couple weeks to investigate this. I mean, we have lockdown and masking and all this stuff, right, that we're allowed to do for a virus. Why can't we, for something that's got certainly a pretty, I would say, higher death rate so far, until we figure out what's going on, why could we not take it a step further and just play it safe, right? If you can just save one life, right? This is what we've been hearing all year. Stay home, stay safe. So what is this? It goes on. On Monday, South Korean President Jae-in urged, please trust the health authorities to review the conclusions and presentations made with experts. It is confirmed that there's no direct causal relationship between death and vaccination. It is confirmed. See, this is a lie, guys. The article just told you that they have ruled out, well, actually, they haven't even really ruled out. They believe that there's no connection between the first 46. Okay, the remaining 13, they actually don't even know. They couldn't even come out and say that we believe that those are not related to the vaccine. They couldn't even do that. So this is a lie. Okay, this is the South Korean President Moon Jae-in, and he's telling them that it's confirmed. It is not confirmed. That is a lie. Okay, that is a poor choice of words. And this is what I'm talking about. Okay, so just trust the experts, it says. Oh, there's a good hashtag for you for 2020, right? How's that working out for you? All right, guys, so that's it for today. I hope you learned something about this topic here today. I'm not done. Okay, there's going to be at least one other part to this twindemic topic. of the flu and the COVID that I want to address. Okay, so there's a little bit more. I want to get into this. I want to really show you some more stuff. Okay, so stay tuned, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that and want to see more, hit that like button and feel free to leave a comment and tell me what you think. This content can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and BitChute. So please follow, subscribe, and turn post notifications on so that you know when the next post drops. Thanks, and see you soon.